Hello there, and welcome to High Profile Interviews. My name is Rafael. I'm the founder and editor-in-chief of High Profile magazine. This week, I had the pleasure of meeting Her Royal Highness, Princess Basma of Oman. Or, if you were Omani, you would call her Saida Basma, which means princess. We had a wonderful chat where we discussed mental health, what it's like to be a princess in the 21st century, and I was very curious to find out what is the day-to-day like of a working princess. She's a psychotherapist, a mom, and also she has 3 cats. Now, let's find out what Princess Basma had to say about Oman, about mental health, and what could we do to improve the world we live in. So let's watch our interview with Princess Basma now. Hello everyone, and it's me, Rafael, here with High Profile Interviews, and I have someone very special with us today, Saida Basma. Thank you so much for being with us, directly from Oman.
Thank you so much for this interview. And how is Brazil? Lovely Brazil. How's it doing? I hope you guys are doing okay.
It's good and hot at the moment. So normally I would be in my studio in London, but at the moment I'm here in Rio. And well, I think before I start asking a few questions that I have, I'd like to explain to our readers and our viewers that Saida means princess in Oman. So I will be addressing Her Highness as Saida Basma, so you all understand that Saida is not her name. It actually means princess. And it's such an honor to be talking to a real princess and also a working princess. So I think everyone is always very curious to find out what is the day-to-day like of a modern princess. So could you share with us, Saida Basma?
Sure. So that's really the golden question. A lot of people have, they perceive us as, the fairy tale princess, the one at home, drinks tea, eats cake and sits all day, nothing. But actually, we all do work, and we all wake up in the morning, check on our kids, go to work, come back, have lunch, check on the kids again, and then have social obligation, go out with our friends, and then come back. So it's literally like everybody else's life. I think in this generation, there is no time to be a fairy tale princess as much. And I think the lovely thing about these families now, that we actually show how strong women can be, and especially in this region, because a lot of people perceive, again, besides that part of princess and also being in this region, which is really not what people think. We do everything that other people do. We work, we drive, we have our businesses, and a lot of us also work in the government. So really, it's a different kind of life.
I think you forgot to mention that you also look after your cat.
Yes, I have 3 cats.
Just before
that want to be part of my life in everything I do.
I think I'll just mention the cat for the viewers that just before our interview, the cat was coming and had to be asked to leave the camera. So it's for Saida Basma just now.
You know, cats, they want to be everywhere. They're like so persistent.
So you have
mine are Persian cats, so they are the real princesses.
They are, aren't they? Yes. Oh, very good. So I think it's true. I think we have this perception of royalty and princess from books and fairy tales, and obviously we read your profile. We know that you are a psychotherapist and you've done a lot of studies. So in a way, when I was reading, I felt she's very normal. She's like a normal working woman, a psychotherapist, a professional woman. So it really brought, I think we all have different perceptions, and especially from different cultures, what it's like to be a Saida, a princess. And so thank you for clarifying. It's good to know that you look after your kids.
Yeah, like I have a perception about Brazil. That everybody in Brazil dances samba the whole day and night, which is obviously not the thing, right? And that that's how, if I think of Brazil, I think of music, colors, good food. This is my perception. But also, it's not there's other things.
Of course.
And
Yes.
as humans, we always do this mistake.
Exactly. Well, it's not totally wrong though. We have a lot of
Yes.
good foods.
It's
We
a
have a lot
happy,
of
jolly,
your
day.
perceptions in a way are very good. So thank you.
Yes.
So let's talk about, because your background is very impressive in terms of psychotherapy. You've done a lot of studies. You have a BA in mental health. You have a master's. You went to Harvard. You have several courses in mental health. Where did the passion come from? Because obviously you've done a lot of studies and you became an expert
Yes.
in mental health.
Yes.
Where is the drive and the passion from?
So I've always loved mental health. I've loved it since I was in school. I was the person that would love to hear problems and try and help out. I would read a lot of books about Sigmund Freud, about other scientists in mental health. And then when the chance came for me to pursue my studies in psychology, that was the happiest moment in my life. Because actually, when I first started, my father thought it's better if I study computer science. You know, it was the 90s.
Wow.
And the 90s, that was the thing. Computers and Windows, all of that.
Yes.
And I was good in opening a computer. So my father said, this is the way to go. Mental health is not, what is that? Who's going to come and see you? All of that. And the taboo and all that. But thankfully, afterwards, he was convinced, and I continued studying it. And then I went and worked in the university hospital, where I continued training. I trained in Harvard University, as you said.
Sure.
I trained in Michigan University, in King's College in the UK, in Kent. I kept on training so much because I needed tools for my box for when I saw my clients to use them. Because as you know, all of us humans are very different.
Absolutely.
There's not one book or one study that fits us all. So I needed to update myself. So really, honestly, mental health for me is a passion. It's not just a job. I actually literally enjoy it. I enjoy every moment in it. And that's why also I continued doing it in my master's. So when I went to do my master's in Australia, I took the same topic, psychology. I started doing things to do with relationships. So I did sexology, and then I did art therapy. So it was all about, mental health.
And so I have a question there. I know this is something that it's just popped out to my mind, and feel free.
Please do. Yeah.
When you work with mental health, because I come from a culture, Brazil only now we start talking about this. So there are certain cultures, which I'm sure you will understand to my question, there are cultures that is a little bit more difficult for you to talk about mental health, right? Because they're not so well developed. Like if you go to the UK and to the US, where people have more access to education, it's much easier for you to talk about mental health. Cultures that are not so well developed, do you find it more difficult for them to get, or now it's mainstream, everybody gets it?
Yeah, a lot of people always say, oh, it's easier in the US, in Germany, in the UK. Honestly, I've traveled to all these countries and it's the same. Look, mental health, I believe, will always be a tough topic to talk about. It will never be normal to talk about mental health. There will always be kind of a taboo. But the difference between us and maybe them is they do a lot of awareness campaigns.
Yeah.
In the media, in the government, a lot. And that's the difference. But when it comes to studies, to cases, we have the same problems because we're humans in the end, the same exact problem. And actually, there's a new thing happening in our region. I don't know about Brazil. Talking about mental health is a fashion now. Everybody talks about depression. Everybody talks about suicidal thoughts. It's like the new thing. So people who know about it and who don't know about it talk about it now on social media.
Wow.
Sadly, it's turned into another, another spiral. But it's a good thing, and also not such a good thing, because it needs to be talked by the people who actually know about it and practice it. It's very dangerous to give wrong information to do with mental health, because people can believe you and go on, and their life can really be, messed up. Once the brain is not functioning, then the whole body can't respond to anything. So it's a very important topic. So it has to be delivered in a very easy way, creative way, and informative way.
Sure. So that leads into my next question then, because obviously you started a lot of initiatives in Oman,
Yes.
including the Not Alone campaign,
Yes.
which has been hugely successful.
Yes.
What are you most proud of in the campaigns that you've done, and what were the results that you achieved?
So I call Not Alone my baby because it's under the umbrella of my clinic, Whispers of Serenity. And I had always said, when I have a clinic, I want to give back to society. And I want people who work with me to believe in this. If you don't believe you need to give back to society, then you can't work with me, because then you don't have passion in mental health. So basically, my proudest moment is me being able to help people not only in Oman, also internationally. And that's what Not Alone does. It's special that way. So we have, for example, Hotline, which we've been using in COVID, which have helped people in Oman and outside Oman. Because we have started to use everything virtually because of COVID, we've actually had a bigger outreach. I mean, look today, I'm talking to you, you're in Brazil. You're like, whoa, really far. But we're talking to each other because of COVID. We actually have to use this, but it's a good thing. I mean, it's an alternative. So I think being able for something so good like this to come out of my country to the world, I find that a plus. And I like it when people say you're the ambassador for this. I like it not because called ambassador, the idea that they think it's that important. That's what I wanted. I wanted people to see how mental health is important, but I wanted them to also understand it's in our daily life. Everything we do in our life has to do with mental health. The way we sit, the way we dress up, the way we talk. And once you believe in that, then anything else really doesn't bother you that much. But the problem is when we talk about mental health, we talk about it as it's a big, huge issue. And, it's crazy people talk. People are running in the street with their hair all pulled out. And it's not that. There's levels, right, of mental health. So that is my goal. And the proudest moment is when I hear people talk about it and say that this initiative has come out of Oman for the world.
Very good. And I suppose that there were two things that you achieved. One was to obviously help others with the subject of mental health, but equally where you put now Oman in the map, where people talk in such a great subject. So it must be you're proud, because obviously being representing your country is always a great thing. So congrats.
And because Oman is besides it being my country, and of course I love it to bits, I always find like it's a diamond, because before you clean the diamond, it's got like kind of dust and everything on, but then once you clean up and you see it, it's beautiful and amazing. And Oman is a hidden gem. I think it's a hidden gem in the Middle East, in the Gulf. Maybe not a lot of people know about it, but once you know about it, and once we start talking about it and we present it, people are always like, wow, it's beautiful. And we have so much stuff that we've helped within history, within relationships around the world. Our late Sultan had a very big impact in peace. Our present Sultan is the same, going on the same, the same line and the same path. And I think that gives us the responsibility to be role models, to carry this. And I think with COVID, for the first time, the whole world's going through the same thing. Like before, things will happen in Brazil, maybe it won't happen in Oman. Maybe things will happen in Oman, it doesn't happen in the UK. But for the first time, we are uniting in one thing, which is not a happy thing. It is, painful. Yourself, you talked about it. And alhamdulillah, you're feeling better.
Thank you.
But it's also taught us to be thankful, to have gratitude, to believe that in the end, we are as one. We're all human. It doesn't matter what religion, what race, what sex you are. It's in the end, you're a human. And that's what's important.
Very good. Thank you. Yes. So leading on to that, then there is another subject that you are very passionate about, and I think it's very important. I'm actually working with a Brazilian celebrity that she's doing the same work. So it's domestic violence and obviously violence against women. I know that
Yes.
you're an advocate and you talk about that, and I think it's important for women of all kind of positions and religions and colors, because this Brazilian celebrity, for example, she's a huge advocate, and she was the first model who was super famous, in Brazil from the 80s, and now we're working together. So I want to talk a little bit about that. In your opinion, what should governments and charities, because I think there is a lot of work that needs to be done to educate and to eradicate domestic violence, right? So what would you do? What do you think it needs to be done?
When we talk about domestic violence, sadly, domestic violence has been happening for centuries. Centuries. If we read through history, there was also some kind of abuse happening to a woman, a child. It's always been there. As the world has the good, it has the bad, sadly, and this is how life is. I've noticed with time, there's been a lot of campaigns. Some are very effective, and some are like, okay, we get it, but like they see it as women complaining. Women are complaining. I think the way we do the awareness campaign is very important. It doesn't need to have so much talk in it and so much percentages. It needs to be very realistic, that would touch anybody's heart. I think as a country and a government, all the government sectors need to work together. It's not only for the Ministry of Health, or only for the Ministry of Information, or the Ministry of Education. It's for all of us. And I think it needs to start from school. These messages need to start from school, for girls and for boys. Because as you grow up, when you believe things and you're used to hearing that it's not good, you grow up seeing that I'm not going to do this because it's not a good thing. But the thing with us, we always have the effect when it's not too late, but when it's like when something happens. We don't think of teaching a person before something happens, because you never know.
Yeah.
It might happen to you, it might not. It might happen to your neighbor, your friend. It might happen to someone in another country. That doesn't mean we shouldn't care. So I would say if all the government unites together and sees how important this is, because you'd be shocked. This topic, for some reason, not everybody unites to talk about it. They don't mind talking about, let's say, addiction, even child abuse, which is a good thing. But when it comes to domestic violence, they think, some people take it as a culture. What's the problem? What's new? Some people think it happened when I was a child. I saw it, but it's okay. It's normal. So that's why we need to teach children that it's not normal. So when this child grows up to be a man or a woman, they know that this is not normal, and they can go home. And you know how when children believe things, they talk about it. They can educate their family. So I would say educating our children is something that we should start with. Doing strong campaigns that are creative and to the point is something we need to talk about. Working as the world, like now I'm in Oman, you're in Brazil. If we work together, why not?
Sure.
It doesn't mean that every country, a culture has a different, maybe religion, maybe language, but in the end, again, we go back to, we are all humans. We have the same issues.
Very good, thank you. So uniting and educating, it would be.
Definitely.
It would be okay. So
and campaigns.
And
yes.
So awareness is very important.
Awareness,
isn't it? Very good. So let's move on then. I think you've traveled the world and you continue to travel the world. I met you in London a couple of times, and so as a world traveler, you've had experiences with lots of different cultures, you understand them, you tried lots of different things, you've seen them, you experienced them. Now, imagine yourself, and if you could talk to a younger Saida Basma, knowing what you know today, and if you think that now giving advice to all these young girls, so if you imagine yourself as one of those young girls, and you are giving them one piece of advice, what would that be?
I'm blessed to be able to travel. I'm also blessed that I'm mixed culture. So my mother's from the UK and my father's from Oman.
Okay.
So that helped me to understand two worlds from a very, very young age. I would tell younger Basma, and this might sound very cheesy and mediocre, but to not be hard on yourself, to not keep on running to show that I'm not doing this just because my name is so and so. I'm doing this because I actually believe in it and I work hard. So I would tell her, you don't need to keep on proving yourself. You've done a good job, work on it. Build on what you've done already. Proving yourself actually takes from your life, because you're running the whole time. So be mindful, accept what you've done, and build on it. And I think that's how you'll feel good about yourself. And I only was able to understand this at the age of 40. I started practicing mindfulness, living the moment, and appreciating where I am. A long time ago, it was very funny. When people read my CV, I would actually feel shy. I'd be like, oh, no, go on, don't do that, And I wouldn't appreciate it. Now, when people read my CV, I'm like, yes, I did that. And I'm happy that I did that, and I'm proud of myself. So appreciating me and being mindful and not trying to prove that I'm this because I did this. No, just live the moment, literally.
Very good. And I think it's a great advice also, because especially for young girls, there is so much pressure, this acceptance, and social media plays a lot of that. So it's great advice, taking that, not for the young Saida Basma, but if you reflect that into all these young girls, build on that and then feel proud of what you achieved. And it's very good. So thank you.
Yeah. Because each one of us is unique in their own way. Each one of us has a specific skill, but we spend all our life trying to prove that we're more than this. We can do more and more, and we forget that amazing skill that we have. So appreciate yourself, and you will do such an amazing job once you're grounded.
Sure.
And mindful.
Thank you. So now, as we talk about the younger self, and we talked about, fixing a few things in the world, if you were given superpowers today, right? So you can build the perfect world, if you, based on your knowledge and your experience and your education, you are the one who are going to build now the perfect world going forward. What would this perfect world be?
I'm going to use one word, and you've heard it a few minutes ago. I would want a superpower called be mindful. Because I think once you're mindful, then you're thankful, you have gratitude, you can do things because you're living every minute of the day. And I think it's very difficult to do that. That's why it needs a superpower. Because once you have that, you appreciate yourself, you love yourself, you work hard, and you enjoy your day. And honestly, out of all what's happening to us, I think that appreciation of every minute of the day and hour, it's made us think about that. The little things. I mean, who thought a cough and a cold would make us, this much? We've been running all our life. We're running and running. We don't appreciate things. So COVID came in a crazy, if we want to think of it in a crazy way, to tell us, oh, wait a minute, you need to stop. You need to think what you have. You need to be thankful. So my superpower would be mindful. Once we're mindful, if we're even doing a bad thing in our life, let's say we're an abuser or we're hurting people, be mindful of what we're doing and maybe would think that's wrong. Because a lot of abusers are not even in their right mind, they're just doing stuff. But once you just stop and think, why are you doing this? What's happening with yourself? So being grounded, living in the now and here. Now, a long time ago, that wouldn't be my superpower. I would want so many other things. But now, more and more, I think being able to live the moment, because life is really precious.
Absolutely.
Maybe we have not noticed that. The little things in life, walking outside, not being in a lockdown, that's very precious. Before we had that and we didn't think it was important,
Very true. I think definitely something that COVID has given us is we realize how sometimes how superficial things were, that we were
Yes.
giving so much attention
Yeah.
and we were giving so much value to shoes and
True.
clothes and things, and actually none of this is important when as I mentioned to you earlier, I had COVID, and
Yes.
I didn't realize how painful, what a painful. I very briefly, for me, was
Yeah.
my eyes were very painful, and I felt that I had hot oil going through my eyes
Oh,
for like days. It was so it really made me realize something so small can cause
yes.
so much destruction and pain. And then you think my
Exactly.
health is the most important thing. Doesn't matter how many pair of shoes you have, none of
Totally.
this matters when
Totally.
you feel like. So I totally get why being mindful and being grateful, and I
Yes.
I completely
Because
understand.
look, your eyes are the window of the world, right? And they were hurting you for all that time. And something we take for granted. I'm looking at you now and I'm
Yes,
thinking, oh, I can look at him.
yes,
So what's the what woo-ha about that?
yes,
But it is a woo-ha
yes, yes,
because you could that could actually hurt you. So I think
absolutely.
being able to get to that point, it's very difficult. It's not easy. We have to be realistic. But I think with what's happening around us, it's kind of teaching us these kind of lessons.
I see. Thank you. So now we also talk about, let's talk about Oman, because I was
Yes.
fascinated. I was looking at Oman. I talked a little bit about Oman in my introduction. So if
Yeah.
you were, so let's say you were inviting a Brazilian friend. Do you
Yes.
know many
Yes.
Brazilians, by the way, or have you met many Brazilians?
You're the only second one I've met, I think, in my life.
Oh wow, what a privilege! Thank
I
you.
mean, maybe from far, but not like communicated with.
Okay, thank you. So let's
And
say
as
you
I
were.
said, you know how I find Brazil, it's all about samba, dance, colors, food, football.
I will look when the pandemic is over. I'm gonna send you an invitation and take you
Yes,
to
I
Brazil
need
so
to. Samba.
and I'll teach you to dance samba. I promise.
Yeah.
So if you were inviting, because we are all very proud of our countries, right? So I love
Yes.
Brazil. I'm also proud from, because I live in the UK now half of my life. So I'm kind of in this dual. I love the UK, I love Brazil. I'm sure
Yes.
being a representative of Oman, as you say,
Yes. Yeah.
if you were to invite me or any other Brazilian to come to Oman, and you're gonna
Yeah.
give me your top 5 reasons or places, whatever it is about Oman, what would they be?
Yeah. Okay. So, number one, Oman is one of the most peaceful countries of the world. We are friends to everyone and enemies to none. And we're known for this. And that's something I'm very grateful that we have, because having peace and harmony is something we don't find much now in the world. That's number one. Number two, the people are very friendly. Like, they're very friendly. You can come and they'll just invite you home and come and have lunch and stay with us.
Oh,
And this is
I'm
something we're
coming. I'm
known
coming.
even.
I
Yeah,
like
come.
lunches.
Even
Okay.
in the Gulf, we're known that we're like that. Number three, we have an amazing landscape. Beautiful landscape. We have mountains, we have sea, we have a place called Salala, which is very green in the summer. We have places, oases here in Oman, and little, water oases and all that throughout, which is very different from the Gulf, because everybody, when you think about the Gulf, you think more desert and
Desert.
Arabian and camels, all of that. So
Yes.
we have that environment. We have deserts as well, the beautiful empty quarters. It's just such a beautiful country. And you know what? A lot of us in the COVID, because we couldn't travel, we appreciate more that we are so
What you
lucky.
have.
We actually have, we used to before go, oh, what shall we do? Let's just travel. But we actually have so many hidden gems and mountains in Oman. We have a place called Jabal Akhdar, which is the green mountain, it's called, and it's very cold there. It goes out to -2, and in the summer,
Wow.
it's even cooler. And when I tell people, they're like, really? An Arabic country that goes, so it rains, it snows a bit there as well. It's a very
Wow.
interesting landscape. We've got mountains, seas, desert, oasis. So it's a beautiful country, and I guarantee when you come, inshallah, you'll come. You will see that. You will see that. I don't need to explain. You will tell me, "Wow, what is this?" Okay. The fourth thing, we are one of the oldest countries as well when it comes to history. We have such a rich history. Our family name is one of the most oldest royal families of the world as well. And it's a descent that's been continuing, Al Said, from the beginning up till today. It's the same royal family. And that actually puts us in a lot of historic books. When it comes to history, also we have forts here that we have also had. We've had quite a few wars before with the Portuguese, which left us with beautiful history. I mean, a scary thing, but a beautiful thing now, where we have forts. We have wittiness in how they made all the way they did the architecture of the fort. We have a water irrigation system, which is very unique. It's called Al-Falaj, and it's for all the pine trees in Oman. And it's done in a very mathematical way. So even that part, I think, up till today, I find it very interesting that all our ancestors thought about this.
Very good.
Number 5 is the amazing food.
Oh, I knew that was coming. I knew
food is important.
I knew food was gonna be on that list. I was waiting. I was like, she's not gonna talk about the food. Okay, because all cultures they love their food.
Oman actually was an empire that conquered Zanzibar and parts of Baluchistan, and because we were conquerors of Zanzibar and parts of Baluchistan, our culture is mixed with so much. So, and that has made it rich in how we eat, in how we dress, the languages we speak in Oman. So we have Arabic, we have Baluchi, we have Swahili, and we have English. So all that has actually made the country extremely unique. I think 5 points is not enough. I'm just going to give 5 for now.
And so on point of food, because I don't know any nation that doesn't love their food. What if I was there? What would you say? Look, you need to try. I was gonna say, what would you cook? I wouldn't expect you to cook.
Yes,
but what
don't worry about that either. We all know how to cook as well.
How do you? Yeah, remember at the beginning of the conversation, we said a working princess, and you're every day. So I don't know if you cook.
Probably think we don't know where the kitchen is.
Exactly. So if I was there, what would you cook? What would be your best dish that you're very proud of from your country?
So I would present, we have a very famous sweet. It's called halwa. And this is only made in Oman. It's very unique. We're known for it. And then we have other sweets that are made with dates. When it comes to the salt food, we have a lot of dishes with rice, but the most unique one is called shua. Shua is meat that's put under the ground.
Wow. And
with layers and layers of sand and charcoal, sand and charcoal, sand and charcoal. The meat is covered with banana leaves or any kind of proper leaves. And then it's taken out overnight, I think. And when you open it, it's the most tenderest meat ever. And I know in Brazil, meat is something
it's
out
big.
of this world.
It's big. Very good.
So that is one of the things. So, and then we have types of breads. We have, of course, the curries and all. So again, when I talk about our culture, it's again mixed with India, Zanzibar, Pakistan, and Oman. So it's a very vast and wide range of food.
So just going back on the sweet is my favorite. So showa.
Okay.
You said.
Halwa. No, shua is meat.
Oh, so,
halwa.
Halwa.
And then there's a date dish which is called rangina.
And what is in halwa? Just for me, I'm curious because I'm
halwa,
gonna look.
It's a recipe that will totally put your sugar and everything into another zone. It's ghee and it's sugar and saffron.
Okay.
And sometimes hail and sometimes nuts, and sometimes instead of sugar they put honey, and basically it's cooked at a very, very high heat, and it's mixed, and then it looks a bit, it's not jelly, but it's like a bit like jelly. And then there's colors. There's the dark one, and then there's the one with saffron. There's the one without. So
So if you
You have to come.
if you were not a psychotherapist, definitely you could be a chef online, and you could be
For sure.
the
I would
next.
rather cook than clean, honestly. Because cooking has creativity in it. Cleaning is like, okay, it's not really
I
something
see,
obvious.
I
Cooking
see.
makes people happy.
It does, and it brings people together, doesn't it?
Yes,
Food
and that's
brings
why I would
people
rather do
together.
that. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, Saida Basma, thank you so much for your time. It's been a real pleasure and an honor to speak to a working and a real princess. And
Thank
I'm
you.
sure the readers will have loved to know about Oman and your work as a psychotherapist and your being an advocate for women and obviously the fight against domestic violence. So thank you so much for your time with us
Thank you.
today.
Thank you for your time. I'm so happy you're feeling better. And thank you for your dedication to work. And I think it's amazing. Even though you're not feeling well, you were still answering emails. So bless you.
Thank
And
you.
bless you all. And bless lovely Brazil, Samba, Rio de Janeiro.
Thank you. And thank you all for watching us today. So stay with me because I will be announcing very shortly who is our next high profile interviewers who are going to be with us next week. So thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And don't forget to check our magazine. So our website is highprofilemag.com. And we are also now on issue. So it's issue.com/highprofilemag. Thank you all. I'll see you all in our next interview.